sometimes the best man for the job is a woman. Hello again, everyone. I'm Eli's dad with Project Eli, where we educate, lead, and inspire. And we find ourselves in the midst of this coronavirus crisis. And one of the things that we always talk about is that it's always a good idea to model the people that are doing the job correctly. Well, I came across an article in Forbes magazine that's so good, I have to just read it to you. So I'm going to steal from Forbes magazine today and follow along, and you'll see what I'm talking about. Okay, the article is titled, "What do countries with the best coronavirus responses have in common? Women leaders." Looking for examples of true leadership in a crisis? From Iceland to Taiwan and from Germany to New Zealand, women are stepping up to show the world how to manage a messy patch for our human family. Add in Finland, Iceland, and Denmark, and this pandemic is revealing that women have what it takes when the heat rises in our houses of state. Many will say these are small countries or islands or other exceptions. But Germany is large and leading, and the UK is an island with very different outcomes. These leaders are gifting us an attractive alternative way of wielding power. What are they teaching us? Truth. Angela Merkel, the Chancellor of Germany, stood up early and calmly told her countrymen that this was a serious bug that would infect up to 70% of the population. "It's serious," she said. "Take it seriously." She did, so they did too. Testing began right from the get-go. Germany jumped right over the phases of denial, anger, and disingenuousness that we've seen elsewhere. The country's numbers are far below its European neighbors, and there are signs it may be able to start loosening restrictions relatively soon. Among the first and fastest responses was from Tsai Ing-wen in Taiwan. Now, back in January, at the first sign of a new illness, she introduced 124 measures to block the spread without having to resort to the lockdowns that have become common elsewhere. She is now sending 10 million face masks to the US and Europe. Tsai managed what CNN has called among the world's best responses, keeping the epidemic under control, still reporting only 6 deaths. Jacinda Ardern in New Zealand was early to lockdown and crystal clear on the maximum level of alert she was putting the country under. And why? She imposed self-isolation on people entering New Zealand astonishingly early, when there were just 6 cases in the whole country, and banned foreigners entirely from entering soon after. Clarity and decisiveness are saving New Zealand from the storm, and as of mid-April, they have suffered only 4 deaths. With other countries talk of lifting restrictions, Ardern is adding to them, making all returning New Zealanders quarantine in designated locations for 14 days. Technology. Iceland, under the leadership of Prime Minister Katrin Jakobsdottir, is offering free coronavirus testing to all of its citizens and will become a key case study in the true spread and fatality rates of Covid-19. Most countries have limited testing to people with active symptoms. Iceland is going whole hog. In proportion to its population, the country has already screened 5 times as many people as South Korea has and instituted a thorough tracking system that means they haven't had to lock down or shut schools. Sanna Marin became the world's youngest head of state when she was elected last December in Finland. It took a millennial leader to spearhead using social media influencers as key agents in battling the coronavirus crisis. Recognizing that not everyone reads the press, They are inviting influencers of any age to spread fact-based information on managing the pandemic. Love. Norway's Prime Minister, Erna Solberg, had the innovative idea of using television to talk directly to her country's children. She was building on the short 3-minute press conference that Danish Prime Minister Mette Frederiksen had held a couple of days earlier. Solberg held a dedicated press conference where no adults were allowed. She responded to the kids' questions from across the country, taking time to explain why it was okay to feel scared. The originality and obviousness of the idea takes one's breath away. How many other simple, humane innovations would more female leadership unleash? Generally, the empathy and care which all of these female leaders have communicated seems to come from an alternative universe rather than the one we've gotten used to. It's like their arms are coming out of their videos to hold you close in a heartfelt and loving embrace. Who knew leaders could sound like this? Now we do. Now compare these leaders and stories with the strong men using the crisis to accelerate a terrifying trifecta of authoritarianism. Blame others, capture the judiciary, demonize the journalists, and blanket their country in "I will never retire" darkness. And the examples given are, not surprisingly, Trump, Bolsonaro, Obrador, Modi, Duterte, Orban, Putin, and Netanyahu. There have been years of research timidly suggesting that women's leadership styles might be different and beneficial. Instead, too many political organizations and companies are still working to get women to behave more like men if they want to lead or succeed. Yet these national leaders are case study sightings of the 7 leadership traits men may want to learn from women. It's time we recognized it and elected more of it. Okay, that's the article from Forbes. Pretty good, huh? Now, I have made a video a long time ago, about a year ago, called "The Good Ship's Captain Has Extensive Knowledge of the 7 C's." And when I say, and how to become the captain of your ship, the 7 C's of success. And the 7 C's are, in order: credibility, connection, clarity, commitment, culture, creativity, and celebration. Now, my theory on this is that in order to become a leader of a country, as a woman, boy, do you have to be an achiever. So my theory is that these women are great leaders because they worked at leadership. They're using basic leadership skills. It's the same thing as when I used to coach basketball. You know, there would be some kids that were just like so big, so strong, so quick that they took the ball. It didn't matter what their fundamentals were, they were going to go to the basket and kill it. And then when you coach girls, you work on fundamentals, and you find that the girls are fundamentally more sound as ball players than are the guys. Which also was the reason, by the way, where we're getting so many good European players coming over, because they're fundamentally sound. They're taught the fundamentals, and then they work on the fancy aspects of the game. So fundamentals are key. I'm going to include in the description box a link to that particular video. It's long, but it really states the facets of leadership that you need to run a business. And once again, we're about personal development here, and this is leadership training. And we're watching leadership in action. And as I state to you, leadership is everything. And if you don't believe me, check out the country. All right, so I invite you to go take a look at that. Click on that link and watch that video about the 7 C's of leadership. And because we will never end a meeting on a philosophical note, thank you, Forbes magazine, and get out there and charge! I'm Eli's dad.